What's up, college football fans and Mean Green fans? Sonoy Valente here once again with the Mean Green Show. Today, joined again by Ryan Davenport, and we're going to recap this North Texas UTSA game. But before we get into all of that, guys, you already know the drill. If you're a fan of college football or G5 football, consider hitting that like and subscribe button because that is truly all that we talk about. Ryan, once again, I appreciate it. Going into the offense first, what are your thoughts from yesterday's game?
I thought they played well. I think Rodgers had his worst game since he's become the starter. A couple of picks, definitely out of character for him. But 459 total yards of offense. It's kind of more of the same of what we've been seeing. They passed it for 272. Rodgers looked good late down the stretch, and they had a chance to win it. So I think that we kind of sound like broken records here, but we keep coming back to we're in these games late, we're coming back, we're trying to win at the end, and we're really close. And I think the offense is a big part of that, and this is against the top tier in the American. This is against UTSA, who's tied for first in the American. This is against Memphis, who's tied for fourth, I think, right now. So these top tier teams that we're playing against. So
Yeah, like you alluded to, Rogers throwing two picks, both of them off deflected by the D line and a linebacker, I think. But
mhm.
nevertheless, I mean, interceptions and um, Io joins the 2,000 rushing yards club, so good job to him, congratulations, and him and
Congrats.
Oscar, yeah, him and Oscar Adaway had a solid day combined. With Io having over 100 yards and Adaway 62. Blair Conwright, the transfer from TCU,
Mhm.
wide receiver. He kind of had his coming out game with 5 receptions, 75 yards and a touchdown. Macklin was 5 receptions, 63 yards, kind
They
of par
kind
for.
of held Macklin behind his normal, but I wanted to come back to a day he's run. Did that? I think it was either third or fourth down run that he had that he carried three or four guys for like 10 plus 12
Was that a
yards.
day or was that Adaway?
I don't.
I know
Maybe it was that way. Maybe I was the wrong one, but
that one.
that was incredible run. Whoever that was just incredible looking.
When that happened, I think it was like a 3rd and 12 on our
Yeah, it was
end.
12 yards.
Yeah, and we talked about it while it happened, and oh gosh, I still don't agree with the call, but I mean, I guess they were just going for a field goal, for the next, I guess. But yeah, he seemed like he carried him. Well, I mean, at least 8 yards. Like
It
it
was
was
a, it was an interesting call to run it there, uh, and a lot of faith in the running game there.
yeah,
I think in that critical down. But I mean, overall, it's they're doing what they need to do.
yeah.
I think we're on the cusp there, and this is against the best teams in the conference. So
Yeah. Yeah, when that run happened, regardless of who did it, Adaway or Io, I kind of felt like, oh, maybe that would be a momentum shift, just the effort that was put into that play, just kind of a rallying moment. But unfortunately, it wasn't the case, and there was, obviously Rogers' two picks, and one of them where they were knocking on the door, and then he saved the initial touchdown by getting the guy either tackled or out of bounds, but flipped the field
mhm.
completely, almost a pick six. And then Jordan Smart had that fumble, right, right. I think he was a post route. He caught it, and
Mhm.
they just knocked it loose, and just a few missed opportunities there. Just really unfortunate.
That was a pretty good tackle too out of Rodgers. I thought
That
he
was,
tracked him down and laid a pretty good tackle on him. So
yeah.
maybe he
Well,
wants to play defense too.
maybe he's following Jace Reuter, but yeah, so who knows? I mean, they still pull up 29 points along with along with the yards you just mentioned. But jumping over to again a bit of a broken record for the defensive side of the ball. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I mean, so my impression of the game was early in the game, UTSA's running the ball. We can't stop it. We just can't stop it. And then they start going away from that. You know, they start passing it, trying to move it around. Frank Harris has sort of an uncharacteristically low yards day from a passing perspective, but I think that's because Trailer says we got to go back to the run game and we got to win this game, and they did, and I think that I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts size wise. I mean, I just feel like they had some big players on that team. And for a team that we've competed with for a long time, I know we haven't won against them in a few years, but that was a pretty good rivalry for a number of years. And I just don't know how much we have to build back to be on par with them, because I think the job that Coach Traylor's done with UTSA is very good, and being able to bring people to San Antonio and create a culture down there that's winning. Um, and for us to be that close, we've got to be building that same type of thing. So I thought defensively, we looked like we've looked all season. We can't stop anybody on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, it really just the eye test alone, their ones and twos defensively, they look more like an SMU size-wise,
Right.
and just some of those were recruitment battles like Jamori Robinson that we were kind of close there, and he was a JUCO guy, and so it's unfortunate knowing that how close we were to some of those bigger
Right.
guys being Mean Green, as opposed to Road Runners, but so yeah, the size comparison, what they have on defense is really feels like that's what we need now for the 3-3-5 to work. And we talked pre-tape a little bit about it, and I was talking with Brett Vito after the game, and he really just kind of laid out what his thoughts were on Capone, and he made some good points. As far as if you were to move on from Capone, you got to get a whole new defensive staff, and as you said pre-tape, that's year one. It's hard to do. So, do you think, kind of regardless of what happens, Capone's coming back next season?
I think they're going to be hard pressed to move away from him. I mean, anything can change. People can get different jobs, things can open up. So I don't want to say you won't end up with a different coordinator, but I will say that maybe it needs to be a year two decision. Um, Let him get a recruiting class. I mean, we know where the weakness is, right? If we come in and we improve our rush defense, marginally, we're going to win these games. You know what I mean? That's what's so crazy right now is, we stop one drive in 3 of these games and we're winning them. You know what I mean? And so we just have to make those adjustments. Now, I don't want to dwell on the shoulda, coulda, woulda situation here, but I don't think we're that far away. But I also think that we didn't have the personnel to run this defense this year. And so maybe the strategy could have been go a different direction early on, adapt to what you have. I mean, that was something that I always preached when Dodge came in, and they didn't do that, and that didn't work out well. So, hopefully, Coach Morris is thinking through how do we bring in the right personnel to be successful, stop one or two more drives, and win more of these football games.
So, kind of last topic before we jump off here. We've played again top Tulane, UTSA, Memphis. Like you said, we've played a lot of these upper echelons teams in the conference. Have played them close and took them to the wire in some cases.
Yep.
Now it's another one, another rivalry back to back, SMU in Dallas. And I don't think there's been. I really don't know if North Texas has played a team as good as SMU this year, and including Cal. So, do you anticipate that North Texas can keep this one close? The spread's at 14, and I mean, they have a lot of firepower. Now, mind you, as we're recording this, Preston Stone. I know you don't pay as close attention to recruiting as I do, so just going to fill you in. Preston Stone, he's border like they're not sure if they're going to play him just for concussion protocol. I think he'll play, but should he not play, they have redshirt freshman out of South Oak Cliff, Kevin Jennings, who's come in and looked pretty good, but not trying to be funny, but how good do you have to be to hand the ball off? But so how much, if any, do you think Stone's absence will affect the game, and do you think North Texas can ultimately, regardless of who's at QB, can keep this one tight?
I think, as I've said in previous episodes, I think this is a hard game to keep tight. SMU always gets up to play North Texas, and this will be no exception. Now, if you have a redshirt freshman at quarterback, I think you have to sort of, throw the records out the window a little bit, because things change. The guy, I don't care how good he looks, he's the field general out there, and if he doesn't know what he's doing, he's going to make mistakes, and we're going to be able to capitalize on that. I would hope. But SMU is a good team, And I think we've played some good teams tight, but I don't think we've played a team like SMU that always wants to hang as many points on North Texas as they can. So I think this one out of all of them is the hardest one to keep tight. What was the line? I think I said that North Texas would cover with UTSA, and I can't remember what the line was.
It was either 8 or 8.5. I think it might have been 8.
And so we covered that, right? I mean, we did.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think I've done pretty well on those picks, except for the one where I said we'd win. I don't think we covered this one.
Oh,
that's my thought.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I mean,
and I don't like saying that. I hope we cover it. I'm going to go, but it'll, hopefully it's fun to beat them in Dallas. Trust me.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a hard one. And I think that the one thing I will say is I think that North Texas, our first year in the American, has come in and proven that we deserve to be in the American Conference. Now, I don't think our record shows that, but I think our play shows that. So we've got to take confidence forward with that and say, okay, we belong here. We're able to compete at this level, and we got to move that forward. So that at least is what I'll take out of this season so far.
And we'll save this for really the SMU recap, but regardless of what happens against SMU, assuming it's a loss though, and maybe a substantial one, that really is going to turn the magnifying glass on those last two games, with UAB and Tulsa, and just see how Capone responds and how this team responds. Because if you win those two, it's or one, those games look good. It looks kind of good, but you get beat down by those two. That's a different ending. So we'll see.
I also think that thus far, Morris has done a good job of keeping his team competitive every week, even though they're trending down on the win-loss column. So, and that's hard to do because later in the season, you start grinding through and you're not playing for the postseason anymore. It's hard to stay focused. And so hopefully you can keep that going.
Yeah. All right, Ryan. Well, as always, go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.